When my parents first divorced, I know it was hard for them. I have very few memories from that period, but I know that there was a lot of pain. The night that the decision was made, I remember being sent to bed with no dinner. It was the only time in my life where that has ever happened, and I still give my mom a hard time about it sometimes. I think I remember one time where we went to law offices, but I didn't really understand what was going on. I was only 8 or so years old, so I just sat on my Grammy's lap. I also remember a couple of occasions where my sister would cry after we left my dad's apartment to go back to our mom's. These were some of the hardest moments for me, for all of us, I suppose, but I knew that she was making mom feel sad. Now, it wasn't my sister's fault. She was 4 years old and she didn't know any better. She just knew that she missed dad. She loved him. Now, as I said, I remember very little from that period, but when I drive past that old apartment that my dad moved into during the divorce, it does evoke emotions and stir some partial memories. One such memory is that we used to walk down to a coffee shop at the end of the road. My dad would order a Highlander grog, which smells amazing despite coffee not tasting very good. And my sister and I would get hot chocolates with whipped cream. That memory is very special to my sister, and she shares it often. But I do have another one that comes to mind. My dad's landlady actually lived in a big old, mansion-style house on the same property as the apartments. And that house had a humongous lawn. Now, everything I'm sure feels bigger when you're a child, but I can say that this was big even by Utah standards. And it was extremely green. It was like a park, almost. I convinced my dad once to ask if we could play on the lawn. And we approached the house, and we knocked, and we asked, and she said yes. I was ecstatic. We would play Teen Titans and Bionicles and Star Wars out on that lawn together as a little family. But one day, we were playing Teen Titans. I was Beast Boy, of course. And I stepped on a big piece of wood that covered a large hole near the edge of the lawn. I think the hole was for irrigation or sprinkler lines or something of that nature. But the wood was wet and it was rotted and it broke. I fell into the deep, dark, damp hole. It was terrifying for an 8-year-old. And to make matters worse, I had scared a wet, slimy lizard that had jumped onto my leg and it began to crawl all over me. I let out a shrill so high-pitched that my dad must have thought I was dying. But he was with me in an instant. I wasn't hurt very bad, just spooked, and my dad extended his arms over the edge of the pit, and he pulled me out of the muck. That story stands out to me because I look back on it as a time where I thought my dad could do anything. He could save me from the icky lizard in the pit, and he could say booyah and become cyborg while we played Teen Titans. Yeah, he and my mom couldn't make it work, but they were both superheroes in my eyes, and that meant that things were going to be okay. And I, as an 8-year-old boy, in the pit that is divorce and in the pit that was in that lawn, I didn't need to fix a thing. I was able to just keep being a kid. A kid who was now a little bit more scared to go out on that big lawn, but who knew that everything would be okay.